Everyone's favorite city, San Francisco, is on the end of a peninsula between San Francisco Bay and the Pacific coast. San Francisco is a small city with steep, rolling hills and water on three sides. It is known for its summer fog, Victorian buildings, cable cars, and beautiful views. Just remember not to call it Frisco and to bring warm clothes. The famous saying "the coldest winter I ever spent was a summer in San Francisco" wasn't said by Mark Twain, but it is a pretty accurate description of the weather in the city. Here are some of the best places for tourists to visit in San Francisco. Number 10. Palace of Fine Arts. The Palace of Fine Arts is the only building left from the 1915 World's Fair. It has a classic Roman rotunda with curved colonnades and is set in a beautiful park with a classic European-style lagoon. It's a nice place to relax, have a picnic, and watch the graceful swans float by. It also has a theater where you can see plays, concerts, and other cultural events. Number 9. Chinatown. Chinatown in San Francisco is thought to be the oldest Chinatown outside of Asia. It was founded in 1840 and is one of the largest and most well-known Chinatowns in the world. Many of the Chinese who moved here were merchants or workers who came from other countries to work on the Transcontinental Railroad or in the mines during the Gold Rush. From Bush Street to Broadway, Grant Avenue is mostly where tourists go in Chinatown. Number 8. Alamo Square. The famous painted ladies' row of Victorian houses on the east side of Alamo Square along Steiner Street is what makes this neighborhood and park most famous. Around the lovely park are also a lot of her pretty Victorians. The park has a playground and a tennis court, and locals, tourists, and people with dogs go there often. From the center of the park, you can see the Transamerica Pyramid building and the tops of the Golden Gate Bridge and Bay Bridge on a clear day. Number 7. Transamerica Pyramid. The Golden Gate Bridge is San Francisco's most famous landmark, but the Transamerica Pyramid is another well-known building in the city. It is in the financial district. William L. Pereira, who designed the building, says that a pyramid is the best shape for a skyscraper because it lets more air and light into the streets below. Finished in 1972, the Transamerica Pyramid has a height of 853 feet and is still the tallest building in the San Francisco skyline. Number 6. Lombard Street. Lombard Street, which is between Hyde and Leavenworth Streets, is known as the crookedest street in the world. However, it is neither the crookedest nor the steepest street in San Francisco. The one-block section of Lombard Street with 8 hairpin turns was built to make the hill less steep than it would have been on its own. In this part of the road, you can only go 5 miles per hour. Number 5. Golden Gate Park. Once a place with sand dunes, Golden Gate Park is now a large urban park with a carousel, windmills, and bison. It is about 20% bigger than Central Park in New York, so if you don't have a bike, you'll need to plan where you want to go. The Japanese Tea Garden is a popular place for tourists to visit. It has beautiful ponds, bridges, and buildings in the style of Japan, such as a tea house. Number 4. Cable cars. Between Market Street and Fisherman's Wharf, the famous cable cars run on 3 lines through the steep streets of San Francisco. If you get to stand on the running board, these cars are fun to ride in. Even though they might not be very useful for everyday life, residents do use them often. The cable car is so popular that, especially on weekends, it takes longer to wait in line to ride up Powell Street than it does to walk the short, hilly distance. Number 3. Alcatraz. Alcatraz was a small island that was often called the Rock. It was used as a lighthouse, a military fortification, and a prison. Some of the most well-known criminals of the time, like Al Capone and Machine Gun Kelly, lived there. Alcatraz was thought to be impossible to get out of because it was surrounded by the cold water of San Francisco Bay. Frank Morris and his 2 brothers, John and Clarence Anglin, made the most well-known attempt. They used an inflatable raft made from stolen raincoats. The island is now a popular place for tourists to visit and a historical site. The National Park Service runs it, and tours can be taken there. Number 2. Fisherman's Wharf. Fisherman's Wharf is one of the most popular tourist spots in San Francisco. It is made up of a series of wharves all the way from Pier 39 to the end of Aquatic Park, where the municipal pier is. The historic waterfront was the center of San Francisco's fishing fleet for more than 100 years, and some of the best seafood restaurants in the city are still there. Aside from the famous sea lions at Pier 39, the wharf also has souvenir shops, historic buildings, beautiful views of the bay, and other things to do for tourists. Number 1. Golden Gate Bridge. The Golden Gate Bridge is a suspension bridge that crosses the Golden Gate, which is a strait between San Francisco and Marin County to the north. It took 4 years to build the bridge, which was done in 1937. When it was finished, the Golden Gate Bridge had the longest suspension bridge span in the world. It has since become a symbol of California around the world. The famous red-orange color of the bridge was chosen so that people could see it better through the thick fog that often covers it.